Hello and welcome to Series 2, Episode 9 of Me and ADHD Podcast. In today's episode, we'll be talking to ADHD coach, trainer and consultant Marie from Marie Helen ADHD Coaching. So hello and welcome, Marie. How are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, good. Thank you for inviting me.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you again. So let's kick off a little bit with about your background. Okay, pre-diagnosis.
Pre-diagnosis, I was in education for over 20 years and working predominantly with children who had invisible, neurodivergent needs. I wasn't always totally aware of that. I was a classroom teacher and a SENCO and a specialist dyslexia assessor. Teaching assistant as well, so that I could do the quality work with the children. And but eventually when my diagnosis of ADHD came, that was sort of one of the steps that led to me setting up on my own.
Okay. All right. So a lot of sort of teaching sort of background, which is I guess has helped you in what you're doing now.
Well, it helps me in terms of, I'm really aware of the need for better understanding, insight, accommodation, and also the need for that opportunity to celebrate individual children's, particular talents, needs, unique ways of experiencing the world and what they've got to offer. I'm aware that that's sadly not freely available, not that often, because the school system's so, rigid and resources are so sparse, and knowledge is also, just isn't there in the way that it needs to be, I don't think.
No, you're right. You're right. It's not, but hopefully things will change. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So when you got diagnosed ADHD, and how were you feeling with that diagnosis? I mean, where did you think things would change, or why did you think things will change after that?
So leading up to diagnosis, I was misdiagnosed with anxiety. I initially went to the doctors with suspecting ADHD, and he just said, "No, you haven't got ADHD, you've got anxiety." And I was like, "Well, that's fine. You can give me a tablet, and that'll all be good." Because I think, like with a lot of people, by the time as adults, when you get to the stage of seeking a diagnosis, it's because things have got really bad, and that's the way it was for me. And I just knew I couldn't carry on the way I was. I literally couldn't carry on the way I was. And the actual diagnosis came around when I started a new job. It was my first full-time job since having children. And I knew that I would be supporting a boy with ADHD, a 15-year-old. And although I'd worked in a special school with children with ADHD and invariably had taught children with ADHD, but not really known that. I knew I wanted to know more. So I went on some training. It's with the ADHD Foundation, actually. And it was, I thought it was aimed at SENCOs, just sort of generic training about ADHD in schools. But it ended up it was actually an open event. So there were parents there, education staff, and it was actually ADHD in girls. And so it was Tony doing the training, and from the moment, like the first sentence that he uttered, and I was just like, why is he talking about things that are just everyday normal things that everybody experiences, don't they? Why is this? And then it just kept on, and it just kept on, and it just kept on, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that is me. He's talking about me. So I feel like the universe was at work there. And so that led to I can't remember what question you asked me now, but that led to my diagnosis. What was the question? I don't know.
How were you feeling at the time of your diagnosis? But that's okay.
Right, okay. So I treated myself to a private diagnosis for a birthday present when I was 49. And, I was certain as I could be that I did have ADHD. Obviously, I'd done all the research, and so it was funny. you know, there was, I think, remembering back, there was probably a sense of calm and but it wasn't quite as euphoric as I perhaps thought it would be. I think partly because I already kind of knew and I just needed that rubber stamp. You know,
Yeah.
some people don't. Some people are happy just to self-diagnose. And I think if that's what suits you, and especially with how hard it is to get a diagnosis, you know, I went into debt to get mine, but, you know, not everybody has the financial means to go into debt even, let alone pay for it. Um, so so yeah, it's the impact of the diagnosis then was to say, okay, this is me, you know, start that journey of self-awareness and self-acceptance, and to stop masking as much. So not entirely, because that was a concept that I came to know gradually as my awareness and understanding grew. But yeah, something about not people pleasing in the way that I had done,
Yeah.
and and not, and it's almost like it's a cliche, but you don't know what you don't know. So it's almost like you can not be aware that you're people pleasing. You think you're just trying to do the best that you can do, but the information that you have that informs those actions are invariably what other people want you to be like. So it's unpicking
Yeah.
it all. It's layers, so many layers.
It's a an interesting journey, the masking aspect of it, because you don't know you're masking,
No.
and it's quite hard to understand how you're masking, and it is like you say, you have to just keep on peeling and peeling back, and I'm still working out now, over a year later, what parts of me is masking, and where and when, kind of thing. So I haven't sort
Mhm.
of got there yet, and it's over a year of trying to work it out.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one, but we all mask, but it's
Yeah.
nice to be ourselves.
Well, it's the
Yeah,
choice, isn't it?
yeah,
It's having the awareness and knowing that you know, when you do. Sorry, my phone just pinged. Yeah, it's having that choice and that awareness. But then for me, that was 3.5 years ago, and it was only 6 weeks now since my autism diagnosis, and that's been a whole nother layer of understanding masking, and well, not even masking actually. I would say just like understanding lack of understanding, you know, which I can now process years on. Um, and yeah, so understanding that I didn't understand things, and so I just sort of fumbled along and just did the best that I could with how I thought things were. And I can see
yeah.
now that, you know, that layer, that's another layer. So you've got the masking, and then you've got the lack of understanding, and in both cases you don't know that's the situation. You're
You
just getting by.
This is it. It's just been your life. That's
Yeah.
what you do. That's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's is that how? So would you say I mean, you got the two diagnoses there. Was that a positive thing for you in regards to moving forwards?
Totally. So the
Yeah,
autism I really resisted, because I think there's a lot more stigma around autism, and you know, and I was guilty of that as well. And I'd had people, because I've been working with, you know, parents and children obviously with autism. I had a parent. It was shortly after my ADHD diagnosis. So I had the diagnosis in February, and then I set up on my own in the September. So I left the education system in the September and set up on my own. And it was one of my first families that I worked with. And I think I made some reference to, you know, sometimes wondering about autism, and in that kind of blunt way that we often do. She kind of said, well, yeah, might be worth thinking about. And I said, well, you know, there's no point me going for a diagnosis. So this woman was autistic herself, had a late diagnosis. I said, there's no point. She said, why not? So I said, because I think I mask too well. And she said, well, don't take it the wrong way, but I don't think you do. I don't think you do mask that well. And I was like, well, obviously that's her stuff. that's not anything to do with me. And so it's kind of gone on, you know, little just hints from different people, you know, people that I've connected to online, because I post quite a lot of videos, and people saying, oh, you AuDHD? No, I'm just ADHD. And what was really strange was when I would post, like on LinkedIn in particular, my processing and my journey, understanding my ADHD, I kept getting direct messages from women who were either AuDHD or autistic. And I just thought, why am I attracting, where's the ADHD people? Why am I attracting these people? And then the next stage was that I would connect with them and we would have chats online. And I just think, gosh, I really get on well with these people. Could just sit and talk forever. And that was so it's all these like little signs that I just kept ignoring. And in the end, it was on Leanne Maskell's retreat that I went to in August. So it was really recent. And I knew she's recently been diagnosed as well. And I see, the thing is, I thought I could recognize it in other people, so I could recognize it in her, but not myself. It's really strange. And so just on that retreat, it was a safe space, so the masking was less, and my autism just sort of seemed to come out more. And a lot of the people on the retreat were AuDHD, and I just thought, where's the autism? Because I don't see it. You're just like me. I don't get where the autism is. So by the end of the week, I had the aha moment. I had one particular activity that we did, and the response that I gave was everybody I gave a monologue a bit like this. I'll stop in a minute, for about 5 minutes, and then the response was just like silence. And then somebody said, "Marie, that was a really autistic response." So I thought it was just me being insightful, and yeah. So I'll stop talking
No,
now.
you talk away. You be you. That's absolutely fine, because that saves me from talking. So that's all good. So with the diagnosis and taking that all on board, do you feel that's been sort of especially the ADHD, I guess, at the beginning, has that been the reason why you've gone into the coaching aspects?
Yeah, I don't even know how I got into the coaching, really. So one of my pet things is always looking for courses. I've done like 4 or 5 postgrad courses, and always looking for the answer through learning. And yeah, so I'm not quite sure how I came across coaching. Started off, it was just coaching for kids. So it was generic. And then I did the top up with the ADHD additional. The coaching for kids, it was advertised that it was actually for adults as well. And then I did the ADHD top up. I just liked, it was powerful for me, in terms of those aha moments and that insight. And yeah, the fact that it's not just going over what you've always gone over, in your head, as somebody who ruminates a lot, you could, and I can like convince myself and convince anybody anything, really. I can find the evidence and the deep thinking and the analysis to reach any conclusion about anything in my life. So I liked the focus of the coaching, that it sort of got to the nub of whatever it was that you were wanting to address, and you get that insight really quickly.
Yeah. Okay. So what is ADHD coaching? As in, what do you do?
Yeah, so that's kind of constantly evolving. So the process that I started with was very organic coaching. So it was whatever the client brought to the session. But the training that I did, so people often use the life wheel. That's like a standard coaching self-reflective tool about all aspects of your life. But I was trained in a slightly different method that went into more depth. It had 20 stages. And what I found was, when I was coaching people with ADHD or AuDHD, those different points, each one almost gave the scope for aha moments in terms of self-awareness, picking apart what was ADHD, what was neurodivergence, and what was life. And so moving forward, that's kind of I can have sessions with people, so like a deep dive into that, and that can give shifts and clarity. So I'm tending to now, with adults, work with people who are wanting that level of self-awareness and self-discovery,
Okay.
as opposed to what I was doing, which is the sort of more standard ADHD coaching, which is what do you want to achieve, how are you going to overcome it, where does ADHD get in the way, where is ADHD a strength that you can play on. So I think it's a journey for me as a coach that will constantly evolve as I go on my journey. It's all intertwined. With young people who have ADHD, it's a different process again. So you don't go as deep, and it is more kind of practical. And I think that's, I don't know, it kind of the study tools and the permission giving to be different and to flip the narrative is
Right.
so
Okay. Yeah.
valuable for young people, because they're less likely to have done that themselves. Whereas I think sometimes by the time the adults get to me, they've already started that process. But for young people, and because they care so much about what people think about them, and so having that strengths-based perspective on their life is invaluable and has an impact really quickly. Like just 3 or 4 sessions, it can reset. Not that everything's sorted, but it's enough for them to move forward. And so I've had children who had completely disengaged with education, sort of re-engaged. It wasn't like a miracle cure. They didn't suddenly start getting top grades, but they had a different mindset.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, as an ADHDer, why would I need a coach? What would tell me that I need a coach?
I think it's going to be different for everybody. The dog's barking. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's different for everyone, but I think somebody, for me, somebody who's shared a journey that's relatable. It's having somebody who. Shall I go and pick the dog up?
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Is it all right?
Yeah, of course you can. Oh.
So, yeah. So what was the question? Why would we have coaching? I think it's that there's 2 elements. There's the element of sometimes people just need someone to say, yes, you're right. It's not just you. It's not just you overthinking things. It's not just you overfeeling things. There's a reason for all this, and it's okay. And actually, you can go with that. And, it's having that other perspective around the masking and the embracing your particular profile and how that presents in the world. So it's having support around that. It's getting out of your head a little bit, because you can, like I say, when you're ruminating, you can just go around in circles with the same thing, and it's pulling out. Sometimes you can't hear what you're saying, and it's that classic where, as a coach, you relay to somebody what they've just said when they've said something really powerful, and they're like, oh yeah, that's really good, as in giving you the credit, and you're like, no, I didn't say that, you said that. So it's having those moments. And of course, there's the whole accountability, that side of things, the whole accountability, the getting things done, the body doubling, that just having, like for me, just having somebody listen and help me listen to myself, I think, is what the coaching does. And I mean, in my life now, the shifts in awareness and insight that I have are daily, really. There's so much when you're 52, when you're diagnosed with ADHD at 49 and autism at 52. There's years to unpack, and doing that all on your own. I think that's hard to do. you need somebody championing you. You need to be you need your struggles to be acknowledged and your strengths as well. It's having, I'm not trying to, the phrase is escaped me. I want to say accountability, that's not what I mean. It's having, it's being seen and being heard is
I
a
guess like,
big
yeah,
part
that
of it.
support
And
around you.
judged,
Yeah.
and not judged at all is the massive thing. And acceptance, it's all those things, really. Yeah, I suppose it's kind of a luxury in one way, and it's kind of not. It's kind of essential in another.
Yeah. No, you're right. I was talking to someone the other day about how much your kind of the psychosocial, I guess, surroundings and what you're involved with around bit family, friends, work, and all that all have a massive impact on your ADHD. And I know I've been very lucky because I've had a very supportive family. Even as a kid, they've always made me feel really sort of lucky and proud of myself and all the rest. And so many people don't have that, and not having it can have such a detrimental effects on the ADHD. How it's kind of like how it shows and all the symptoms, and I know that having that sort of backing and that support for me always has made life easier for me.
Yeah,
So I am very lucky in that respect, but most people don't have that.
yeah, and
Um,
there is, and when you don't know what you don't know,
yeah,
so you're trying to fit in, and you're sort of wondering why things are so hard, and it's that trying again each day. Each day you start again.
yeah,
Literally, like even when you have good days, it's just that inbuilt, resilience model, but it's a survival strategy. Every day you're starting again, and and you get frustrated with yourself, and the whole RSD, the rejection sensitivity dysphoria thing, is massive. And all that experience, it is trauma with a small t, and it has impacts your nervous system, and it is hard work. You do, it is. And for me, alongside my coaching and support that I do have in my life, people that do understand, the spiritual stuff's been really important to me. So that's kind of guided meditations, and for me that helps me connect with myself, and having that inner strength and inner resource to turn to has been like my biggest growth area. And I do want to bring that into my coaching. I do want to help people use those techniques,
yeah.
To look inwards, but in a sort of accountable way. It's hard to explain.
It's yeah. I was I had a podcast the other week about mindfulness,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really know what it was. I mean, I did a little bit of research, kind of before the podcast, and a mindfulness coach come on, and we were talking about it. And a lot of the things, not everything, but a lot of the things that are classed as mindfulness techniques, I already do. So
Mm.
from going from a kind of a bit of a skeptical, it's a bit of sort of 1960s hippie kind of thing to oh, actually I do them, and those things that I
Mm.
do work really
But
well, and I do them because I need them.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
I'm not going to stop doing them because I need them because I know I can't cope without them.
yeah. It's regulation, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
your nervous system, the regulation, and but also that, yes, I think because we're just on the go all the time, and we take on so much information, trying to um, slow things down and create space within our bodies, within our minds, and to feel connected is just invaluable. And whether neurotypical people do that more naturally, I don't know. But it's definitely something I have to consciously choose to do,
yeah.
because otherwise I just keep going.
I say you've got to put the processes in place to support yourself and make a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so with the coaching then, what would your sort of typical first session look like?
It's the deep dive. So
Yeah.
it's 20 different areas of your life which you grade. And so when I was trained, the idea was you do that in like 30, 40 minutes. But what I find now, that was not with people with ADHD though, or autism. But now, because I'm with clients and we're digging into how those different aspects of life are impacted by a neurodivergent profile, it actually is more like two or three sessions actually. So we're looking
Okay.
at 2 to 3 hours, and that just gives a lot of self-awareness and insight and clarity, and it's almost like mini coaching it's like laser coaching within each point, so not everything, but the significant areas, so what's difficult about that particular aspect of your life? How would what would the ideal be? What are the barriers that are stopping that from happening? How can we reframe things if that's appropriate? How can we do things differently? How can we put more protective factors in place? What are the things you can stop doing? What are the things you can start doing? What we can, and sometimes it's just permission giving that is not an issue.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on the individual clients and whatever, but that's, and sometimes then from that, so my most recent client, we did that, it lasted, I think we had 2 sessions of an hour and a half each, and she'll then move on to a group coaching program with me.
Okay.
So it's like that does the groundwork, and then so, but to be honest, it's different with each person. I have I work with teenagers, CEOs, mothers at home, parents of neurodivergent children, spouses of people who are neurodivergent, young people, young professional people, students. I don't think I've ever had 2 people with the same kind of socioeconomic profile, which isn't very good for a business because you're supposed to niche, but I'm just going with the flow for the moment. And but I do think the AuDHD focus will be kind of where I'm heading now, because that's kind of invariably how I see life and experience life. And I know you don't have to be neurodivergent to be a neurodivergent coach. And I think there's my perspective on that has changed recently, because I would have said, oh, you have to be, because you don't understand otherwise, and you don't know, you're going to put pressure on somebody to try and act in a way that's not in line with their neurodivergence, and or you won't understand just how difficult things that might seem really simple and obvious to you are.
Yeah.
And I think there is an element of that when somebody's discovering their neurodivergence. I think that's true. But if you're after accountability, productivity, then maybe having somebody who isn't ADHD as your coach might be a good idea, because I don't think that's my strength particularly. in holding people, because I struggle to hold myself to account and be organised myself. So although there is that doing it for somebody else, connects the neural pathways in a different way than it does for yourself, I don't think that's where my strength is. And I think somebody who actually is neurotypical might, but with obviously the understanding and the sympathy around neurodivergence, or the empathy, that can work as well. I think it depends what your purpose and your needs are as a client.
Yeah. I mean, it's your business, so you will specialize in the area that you want to. And if I think, like anything else, if something's I guess your strength is lacking in a certain area, like everybody else, you either do something about it in regards to get strong in that area, or you put it to one side and let some other person who does specialize in it,
Yeah, but it's
take over.
accepting, it's
Yeah,
accepting your strengths and your
absolutely. It's
challenges.
yeah, yeah. We got enough to do. Yeah, no, it absolutely is, and everyone does that in every sort of business, you know.
Mhm.
You know, my background, my business that I used to have and do, and if there's areas that I'm not as strong as I maybe should be or could be, I should say, then I would refer on. So and that's just how it is because there are
That's in the interest of the client as well, isn't it? And that's
yeah.
being, I think, professional and responsible as well. So
Yeah, no, and absolutely, absolutely. So I said you do lots of different age groups and backgrounds and everything. So is there an age group you would say, or a typical social economical background that you get more positive results from?
not uh, I suppose women, younger women than me, but so um, women who have their own business, small business, or are business minded, or you know. So I work with one woman who doesn't have her own business but will be, when her children are a bit older, that kind of
Yeah,
mindset, really, I suppose. Um, but yeah, I think really it's just women. I think women who, I think it's probably women that I resonate mostly with, and because we've got that, shared experiences, and but teens as well, because I worked with children for 25 years and um, have my children and was a child. So, but yeah, I suppose my heart is with women.
okay. So when it comes to the results, obviously you got depending on what they're looking for and their needs and everything. So is there a kind of a general sort of time scale that you'd be able to see results? You'd expect to see results in a
Those
couple of
deep
weeks,
dive
or
sessions, have a result straight away. I would say, just in terms of people feeling accepted, understood, understanding themselves, empowered. That happens virtually straight away.
yeah? I kind of like asked that question so you can answer it, but I kind of knew that myself. I had a one-off session with a burnout coach, good few months ago now. She was a guest on my podcast, and within just that one session, there was quite a few things that was brought to my attention and how to look at things,
Mm-hmm.
and straight away it sort of changed the way I look at certain aspects of my life,
Mm-hmm.
and that's made a massive impact. So yeah, so just one session can make a big difference.
Yeah, can. Yeah. Yeah, and then, I do belief coding as well, which is kind of like a form of coaching, and that can have, people can come to a session feeling heavy-hearted, really, and leave a session feeling lighter. That's the response that they virtually always give, feeling lighter.
Okay, what's belief coding?
So it's it's um it's looking at those, kind of as it sounds, really, it's looking at those negative beliefs that we have that are very ingrained.
Quite a few of those.
Yeah, so it starts with looking at a discomfort and then peeling back what are the beliefs that are sort of serving that situation. What is it that you believe to be true about yourself? Because it's not that, that's just a social construct. That's just been your survival strategy, your subconscious, your way of dealing with a difficult situation in the past, and it just becomes part of us, but it doesn't actually belong to us. So it's unpicking that, and kind of similar to a normal coaching session in terms of looking at where you'd like to be, how that would feel, really going into that. What would be the new beliefs if that was to happen? And that always feels really icky because you're not in that place. So it feels really weird to be saying, I feel like, I'm so confident in going to new social situations, and, it seems really icky. But then we use Human Compass, which is muscle testing, to identify a trapped emotion related to that limiting belief, and an age at which, that relates to that, when that trapped emotion kind of occurred, and a memory will pop up into somebody's head, and it won't be the thing that you might consciously associate with that negative belief or that emotion. It's just something often seems really random and unrelated. And then we just sit with that, and the client doesn't have to share what that memory is, but we just sit with it and feel into that time and that space, and that invariably, inner child, and we offer to make that memory, that child in that moment, feel better. You can't change what's happened or what has happened or will happen in the future, but just to make that version of you in that moment feel stronger, feel loved, feel happier. There's all sorts of different techniques doing that. And then it can be that another memory then comes up from that. So sometimes when somebody brings one memory, it's almost like the subconscious is sort of testing the water, see how it goes, and then they can go deeper and deeper. But yeah, and then at the end of it, we sort of repeat like a mantra the new beliefs, and that whole process just shifts something. It's and you. So for me, an example is when I had my first belief coding session myself. Part of my session, it wasn't the focus, but part of my session was speaking in front of people.
Right.
As a teacher, I kind of forced myself to do that because it was a massive discomfort, and it wasn't something that I did easily. And at that stage, when I was posting on social media, I'd recorded like a 10-second video, and I wish I'd kept it now, but I deleted it in shame. And it took me hours to record it because I had to keep re-recording. It was so awful. After this one belief coding session, part of it was me imagining myself on a stage speaking, and I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. But the next day, I just picked up my phone. I was on holiday. I didn't have my hair done. I didn't have any makeup on. I was in a swimming costume, and I just did a recording and posted it online, and it was no big deal. And I just thought, what just happened? Why did I just do that? Wow. And then I remembered the connection with the belief coding, and I don't think that was a coincidence. And since then, being visible and talking has not been, it's not that I do it amazingly well, but it's not a problem for me to do. I don't have massive anxiety around it.
Okay. It's possibly something that I need. Because this is why I don't do the live things, because I can't. I've done a few kind of posts of just me talking, but there's recorded, and it's taking me quite a few recordings to get that sort of anywhere near legible to anyone's ears. So yeah, I'm not a great talker, as you can tell, and I forget words and everything, and that's why I have everything out in like front of me, so I don't forget too many words. I'm not the typical, I guess, ADHD that seems to be very confident in talking and very quick talking all the time and very good with the words, and that's not me. I struggle to get a sentence out most of the time, and that's led to social anxiety and things like that. The meds are making me do these podcasts. That's the only way I'll get them done.
Is it different in personal relationships, or just in this kind of, like, if you, like, with your family, are you very talkative?
No, I've not been talkative. No, because is it dysnomia? There you go. I think it's probably the first time I've actually remembered that without looking it up. Where you forget words, usually
Mhm.
nouns and some verbs, but you forget words. You know what they are, but it's just gone. It's like the tip of your
Yeah.
tongue thing. You just sort of,
Yeah, yeah.
but worse.
Right.
So yeah, so I do struggle to have a, even on subjects that I know.
Mm.
So yeah, so I kind of like
Is that
shy
is
away.
that in addition to ADHD, or is that, like, typically part of? Because 'Cause I've not come across that before.
Well, what I've been reading is it's something on its own, but other
Mm.
things can lead to it. It's like a symptom, I guess.
Mm.
So with ADHD, you can, because your mind's going so quick and things like that, you can't always get your words out. But
Mm.
it can exacerbate the dysnomia, and it is literally to the forgetting of the words, and my anxiety will go when it goes up. That makes it worse as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if
So
it's anxiety related as well. Yeah.
it's like, I always give this example because this is the first time I really recognized myself doing it. I was at work and we were doing some sort of cleaning and things, and I was trying to get someone to go grab a bucket and could not remember bucket. It was
Mm.
not coming to me at all. And I had to do the whole give us a clue charades thing.
Oh gosh,
It
yeah.
was, it's, the black thing handle, it's in the cupboards. You put a mop in it. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh
I know what
gosh.
it is,
Yeah.
but the word for it just escapes
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And then, like, if I start doing that, and I haven't done it today, which is good, but once I start doing it, the anxiety creeps up, and then it starts getting worse and worse and worse. And my meds help me with that because they help with the whole bringing the anxiety down as well. But at the end of the day, when the meds start coming off, and I get a little bit of medication rebound,
Mm.
and so when I'm at home in the evening and it's going off, there are probably about half an hour or so. It's around sort of the 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening sort of time where it kicks in,
Oh gosh.
and sometimes I could just can't get the sentence out.
Wow. Mhm.
Stuff I'm used to saying is okay, but if it's just random stuff, like
Mm.
if my wife said, "Oh, where did you put the, I don't know, tape measure?" and it might be in case it's in the cupboard. I'm like, it's in the
Yeah.
it's in the corner, the kitchen in the corner,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
on the second shelf corner. It's on the right, and I just
Yeah.
can't get there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's been
yeah.
times when I'm like, I just can't, and I have to go and get it myself
Yeah.
because those words and the anxiety goes up even more, and then I can't even have a conversation. I can't even a sentence
Mm.
becomes a bit of an issue.
Yeah, it doesn't
Uh,
matter that these are recorded though, because it's still
this is
live, isn't it? It's just recorded.
yeah,
It's still us talking. I had when I was 15, I had selective mutism in social situations, and I know it's different. It's a different thing, but it's also it's that weird thing where your brain and your body just sort of doesn't all connect. And I just remember, I have a very clear memory of being with friends and literally wanting to talk, and it was just like it was almost like my mouth was paralyzed, and the words were literally on the tip of my tongue, and I was wanting to talk, and my friends were just saying, Marie, why don't you talk? Why aren't you talking? And I just literally, I
yeah,
just literally couldn't. Um, and I guess that was anxiety. That must have been anxiety related or confidence related. Social anxiety type thing, maybe. But it didn't last, but then it didn't last because I taught myself how to cope, increasingly more effectively in group situations socially, and did the whole thing of rehearsing what to say, how to say it, pretending. I just used to have this routine because we moved house when I was 15. So I went to a sixth form college where I didn't know anybody, and those double doors that went into the common room were just the most terrifying thing, because as soon as you went through them, you were just on show to the entire room, and you had all your little groups of people, and I didn't belong to any of them. And yeah, you'd have the group that you kind of hover around, and please turn around and speak to me. And you kind of just put so much effort into pretending I was like thinking of something or looking for somebody or on my way to somewhere or didn't care if nobody spoke to me. My whole emotional, physical, mental energy was put into that, and I think that's why I do still sort of hold on to working with young people as well, because I know how hard that is, that sense of alienation. It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I can feel it still, I can remember being that person, even though it was such a long time ago. I can remember it clearly. And I just, I would love to go back to that 16, 17-year-old version of me and tell her she doesn't need to worry about that and that she's fine as she is and just find whatever she's comfortable with and go with that. And people will come to you if they're meant to and they won't if they're not. And, so I would like actually to do, I think it's almost like, rather than coaching, it's almost like just communicating and educating and giving people that insight into that inner world that obviously I can only speak for myself and not other people, but there's an essence there, I think, of that feeling like you don't fit in and feeling alienated. And whenever I've spoken to people who have come to me wondering if they're ADHD autistic, that sense of alienation and feeling on the periphery is shared. It seems to be shared by everybody. So went off on a bit of a tangent there, sorry.
Okay. That's what we do. It's quite weird where memory for ADHD is an issue, but for a lot of ADHDers, remembering the things of the past that are negative kind of stays with you. As a child, apart from family, because I say my family's always been solid, but school-wise, friends and all the rest, education, I can't remember anything positive about it. It wasn't hell, don't get me wrong, but everything I can remember is not great.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was in the RES, so we traveled around a lot. So I went to 3 primary schools, 3 high schools. So change in school was really hard, and then trying to fit in, or to be fair, I think after a time he tried to be invisible. I got bullied a lot when I was younger and all that as well. So it's but you kind of remember that, and it stays with you. So then when you're speaking to people of the same age, have gone through the same things, you can really, really understand kind of where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Go on.
I was just going to say that thing about memory. So it's interesting when you've just made me sort of reflect there, because I was quite aware that for me, everything's related to emotions, and memory is one of those things. Learning is one of those things. Attention is one of those things. If I don't care, it's not happening. It doesn't matter what it is. But yeah, my memory is awful, my visual verbal memory, but my emotional memory is very, very strong. Like I said, I can just go back to that 17-year-old version of me and remember exactly, I could see everything, feel everything, smell everything, hear everything, the senses are so strong. But yeah, actually, so I knew that my memory is connected to emotions, but yeah, actually they're all negative. I hadn't sort of processed that, but yeah, they're all negative. Now, does that mean that I just was very unhappy a lot? But maybe. And maybe the happy times were just like where things were okay and, not bad, as opposed to, and I had a good childhood, good life, I'm not, but yeah, I think is that the neurodivergent experience of just, it's just an effort. Everything is that extra level of effort, isn't it? And the bullying, yeah, I had that all through my life. And at work as well, and you're just a target, aren't you, as somebody who's, you know, gullible, open, honest, soft, you know. It's, yeah, that's kind of relatable and quite interesting for me to, and these are the aha moments that you have, you know, when you're having these kind of discussions, when I'm doing the coaching, when I'm doing the deep dive, that initial deep dive, that those are the kind of moments that you have. And once you've had them, you know, you take those with you, and however that informs your life. But yeah.
It's strange. I don't know if you get the same thing as I do, and obviously what I do is different to what you do. But when I started the podcast, it was kind of therapy for myself, because I found that I had a voice after I got diagnosed. Everything made sense and all that, and I don't talk to people. So this is really still kind of a weird thing,
Mm-hmm.
talking to strangers over a webcam. That's
Yeah.
20 years
Yeah.
ago, that was very dubious thing to do.
Yeah.
But you know, so, but it's therapy for me. But when I started then um, getting people to come on, inviting people to come on and talk about their journeys and ADHD, I kind of found that speaking to them was even a better type of therapy for me,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was just talking, it was just me. I'm sort of dealing with it, and I'm, you know, speaking about everything I'm going through, but I was still alone.
Mm.
As soon as I started talking to other people going through similar things, then I realized I'm not alone.
Mm.
And that was a big thing. And it's nice to see
Yeah.
people coming on and, you know, feeling similar things, and, you know, going
Mm.
through similar things, and everything's so relatable.
The gift, the coaching is a gift, and I've never had a session with a client where I haven't had my own aha moment. Either, you know, just sometimes people are like a mirror, and
Yeah.
you know, this whole spiritual thing, I kind of believe that the people who approach me are, you know, it's meant to be both ways. And you know, I kind of feel guilty because I always get either some increase in self-awareness or insight or motivation to, you know, they come and say, all right, I want to do this, and I'm like, yeah, I really need to do that as well, and they come up with all these strategies that they're going to use, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to write this down and I'm going to do that too. So on whatever level it is, but sometimes it's like those aha moments like that just happen then. And yeah, I totally get the sort of therapeutic aspect of processing out loud. um, like I say, I can process in my head, and you just ruminate and go over the same things. But somehow having an audience, I mean, I could write stuff for myself, and I'm trying to write stuff for myself. I want to write a book. I'm trying to do that, but there's also it's a little bit indulgent in a way. But I also feel that I know that it benefits other people, so I keep doing it. But sharing in social media, whether
Yeah.
it's videos or whether it's writing, it helps me. There's a name for it which I've forgotten, but there's a name for processing through written language, and that definitely applies to me. You know, that's how I make sense of my world, is writing about it, whether it's to myself on WhatsApp, other people on WhatsApp who probably just like flick through it because there's just like reams and reams of messages, or whether it's on social media, or whether it's me trying to write my book. But I do in any day, I never not write. You know, I can't. It's almost like, and even if I have a thought, then I go and write it down because I don't know, don't want to lose it. But yeah, that's how I process. But it helps other people, doesn't it? So what you're doing
Yeah.
now helps you, and it helps the people who come and talk to you, and it will help anybody who listens as well. So
I hope so. I mean, that's what it's all about. And it's like, you know, if I can just help one person,
mm-hmm.
you know, be it just, or made them realize they could be, and they get diagnosed, or whatever it is, or they just put a, a process in place to help them
Mm-hmm.
remember things. It's, you know, that's, you know, it's job done, you know,
Yeah,
for me.
definitely.
Not job done
Yeah,
for you, because you got more to do. But um it's a huge kind of like area to manage, I guess, because like with the medication has worked really well with me, and I know it
Mhm.
doesn't work with everyone, and it doesn't work brilliant with everyone, but in my situation, it works really, really well. But it wouldn't work on its own because you
Mm.
have to put other processes and strategies in place as well. Because medication is great, but it's not going to help me remember, to edit and post this podcast.
Mm.
It's not. Um, so I need to put other strategies in place to remember to do certain things throughout the day. Otherwise, it just wouldn't get done. Um, so things like using sort of calendars. I use my phone a lot with alarms going off all throughout the day.
Mm.
Um, Setting out systems of how you place things so you don't lose things. Um, Speaking to coaches like yourself to help understand what's going on and learn more strategies, um, mindfulness things. There's so many different things that will help. So what I'm finding out really is don't rule anything out,
Yeah.
because don't rely on one thing. Don't rely on just strategies.
Mm.
Don't rely on just medication. Don't rely on just one anything.
Mhm.
It's gotta be like a multidisciplinary sort of approach
Yeah.
to really make a
So it's different for different people, and then it's different at different days, and it's different according to different tasks, and then, it's different compared to what's going on in your life. So there's that whole, for me, very much so at the moment, it's that kind of inner healing that I'm focused on, and that helps regulate my nervous system, which helps me be able to um, not be ADHD at all, but I can't say that I'm really organized or really tidy, but I feel like I'm either I get the key things done, and then the other things kind of don't matter as much. I don't get as upset or stressed about stuff, and that's my big need, really, is the stress and the anxiety. That's the thing that is important for me to be on top of, um, and I have to keep putting effort into that constantly, because there's always new things to get stressed or
yeah,
upset about. So I have to keep doing that, but that's where my focus and effort goes. And then I just have the awareness that if I need to get out of the house, I need to set 3 alarms, before I do it. So it's having that self-awareness and the strategies that go alongside that, but the real effort I put into that inner healing and building my self-awareness and my self-confidence and self-belief, and not putting myself in situations that are damaging and are going to cause me hurt in the future. Or yeah, so one of my strategies is going to Palm Springs next week. So I realised I need to create joy in my life. So this weekend, my youngest and I went to Scarborough for the day. We went to the water park, we went on the beach, we played mini golf, we went out for a meal, so that was lovely. And then next week, I'm going to visit my oldest friend. So I've known her since I was 3. And she's lived in America since she was about 17, I think.
all
So for
right,
the first time ever, I'm hopping on a plane. Good old ADHD
excellent.
just got me. Yeah, I'm going to buy a ticket to Palm Springs and worry about the consequences later. So today, my job is to cancel all the things that I will not be here for, including another podcast, actually. Um, yeah, because I'm prioritizing that,
Cool.
and yeah, got the blessing of my children, which is the important thing for me, and yeah, going to go out there and have some quality time with a good friend and do that self-care stuff, take in nature, the sun, swim.
Can't be bad. Oh, I'm so jealous. But you've got to look after yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to look after yourself. That's one of the things with my journey is I've come to realize that as weird as it may sound, as I've got to put myself first to be able to put my family first.
Yeah, you've got to be able to
Yeah,
function.
yeah. Because if there's nothing in the jug,
Yeah.
I can't give them
Okay.
anything. So
Mm.
yeah, you got to do self care.
Yeah.
You got to. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned, and I think a lot of people have said the exact same thing, is that the understanding of your ADHD, not I guess ADHD as a neurodevelopmental disorder. So I was going to forget that one for a minute. But what you're going through yourself,
Yeah.
your own sort of experience,
Mhm.
understanding that is huge. It's a huge, big step
Yeah.
in
It's the
making your life
first step.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the first step. It's the foundation. And that's, you can get that through coaching as well. You can get from reading books, and you can get through coaching, and combination. And sometimes you just need somebody else to say, yeah, that's right. Quite often that's the case. People come to me and they understand themselves. They just need someone to say, yeah, you're right.
yeah. Books are good, and I'm reading books for the first time ever. I'm reading books now. Thank you, medication. But when you got a bit of a question about what you just read, you can't ask a question
Mm.
to anyone.
Hmm.
But what
Yeah.
I say with a coaching, whatever you're going through, you can ask the questions and you get the answers.
Mm.
So it's cool. Okay, no, it's been really really nice talking to you.
Yeah, me too.
And it's interesting to find out about what ADHD coaching is all about, and your journey and where you're going to potentially taking the coaching as well.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
not a typical ADHD coach.
well, that's good. Is we like different things, don't we? So, but no, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. I will put as many links as you can give me on the podcast. So if people want to contact you, um, be it just to follow you on social media or to contact you about coaching,
Mhm.
onto your website and all that as well, I'll do that.
Okay.
But thank you for listening. Thank you for coming on. And as always, be good, be kind, and remember, you're not alone. Thank you.